In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Adobe Illustrator to make another ice cream in our Ice Cream Social series. In the previous video, I showed you how to make a popsicle, and in this one, I'm going to show you how to make an ice cream cone. This is our inspiration image, and this is the cone that we're using to mimic. You can see that my three projects down here are my practice ice cream cones that I use to try to figure out my methodology. So go ahead and open up your previous assignment, and we're going to create our new ice cream cone in the same file. So I've opened up the layers panel over here, which is the overlapping diamond shapes icon, and you can see that I have multiple layers. So here I'm going to turn off the eyeball. Layer 2 was this ice cream cone, and layer 4 and layer 5. So I'm just turning those off so I have more space and I don't accidentally click them. Now I'm going to click the top layer, layer number 5, and go down here to the layers panel at the bottom and click the Create New Layer button. Now I have layer 6. This is where I'm going to create my ice cream cone. First of all, I'm going to use the zoom tool, and I'm going to zoom in, hold the space bar down, and it will change the zoom tool into the hand, and then you can click and drag to make the object the size that you want. To make it smaller, you can hold down the Alt key and get it to the size that you need it. All right, so that's a good size right there. The first thing that we're going to tackle is the shape of the cone. So for that, we're going to use the pen tool. So click here. If you hold on the pen tool, click and hold, you'll notice that there are lots of different types of pen tools. We're just using the top one. And let's take a look at my fill color, which is a gradient. I don't want that, so I'm going to change it to none. And then I'm going to click to bring my stroke color forward, and I'm going to change my stroke color. So let's open up our swatches panel, open up this little side menu, go down to Open Swatch Library, Color Books, and Pantone Solid Coated. I'm going to take that color palette, move it over here, and stretch it out so that I can see lots of colors at once. And for the ice cream cone, I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom to where the brown section is. And for now, I will choose, let's say, this brown right here. Okay, so with my pen tool, I'm going to just use this as a guide. So I'll click one time here, go down to the bottom, click again, go up to the top, and you can see that when I am directly across from my first line, a little magenta colored line shows up. That lets me know that it's even. If I'm up a little further, you'll notice that the line goes away. That's because I'm too far up. So I'm just going to hover the cursor around until I see the magenta line, click, and then you have to click exactly on the beginning point. So the beginning point and the end point have to touch in order to make a complete shape. So there's my complete shape, and that's good for now. So what I'm going to do is go over to my layers panel and click on this little white arrow to open that up and see what's inside. So this path that I just created, I'm going to click right here to put a padlock on it so that I don't accidentally select it. Now I'm going to get the line segment tool right here, and I'm going to leave my stroke color as brown, but I'm going to change the weight of my stroke to be, I will try size 6 and see if that's a good size. So what I'm going to do now is try to create this waffle pattern. So I'm hovering the cursor over here on the side, and you can see when the little word comes up, it says path. That lets me know that I'm directly on the line. So I'm going to click and hold and drag, and I'm trying to match the line, and when I get to this path, on this side, the little word pops up again. Okay, I think that 6 looks pretty good for the size. So I'm going to click and drag all of my lines on here, going from path to path to create all of these. That are going diagonally across. And then I will go the opposite way. And if I mess one up, I can simply undo it by clicking Control Z, or I can select it with the Move tool, or I'm sorry, the black arrow, the Selection tool, and I can just delete it. And there we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is select the waffle lines only with the black arrow. And because I have a padlock on this, all I have to do is click and drag a box around them, and they're all selected. Now what I'm going to do is go to Object, Path, and Outline Stroke. So you'll notice right now that all of the brown lines have a blue line going through the center of it. But when I click Outline Stroke, now they have a blue line going all the way around the whole object. Now I'm going to open the Pathfinder panel from the Window menu. So Pathfinder. And I'm going to choose the first selection, which is Unite. So now all those separate shapes will become one shape. Okay, now I'm going to turn the eyeball off on that for a minute, and I'm going to work on my cone. So I do need to click that layer and then take off the padlock. Now I'm going to change the cone to a gradient. So let's see. I'm going to select it, and I'll just go ahead and click this to swap the fill and the stroke. So the stroke is on none and the fill is on brown. Now over here in the swatches panel, I'm going to choose the black and white gradient. Oops. So because I had the stroke forward, it changed the stroke. So I'm going to put that back to none, click to bring the fill forward, and try that again. So there is the gradient, but I do need to change the colors. So I'm going to click to open the gradient panel, which is right here, and I'm just going to tear that off for a moment. And let's see, let's try this dark brown on this side. So click it, hold it, and drop it exactly on top of the black. And then I'll take perhaps this one here, this kind of light tan, click it, hold it, drop it directly on top of the white. That's okay for now. So you can see that the gradient doesn't really match the shape very well, so I'm going to show you how to fix that. So over here in this toolbox, go ahead and click on the gradient tool, and you'll get this little slider here. So what you can do is hover the cursor around the side until it turns into this swoopy arrow. Then click and drag it, and you'll see that it changes it so that the dark color is on this side. I'm also going to take this brown slider and move it a little bit closer so that I can have more of the dark color on this side. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to stop there. So in the layers panel, what we're going to get ready to do is make that dot pattern. So what I want to do is make a copy of my cone. So I'm going to click the layer and drag it down to the Create New Layer button, and now I have two of them. Now I'm going to turn the eyeball back on for my cone pattern, the lines. I'm going to select this top cone, hold down Shift, and select the pattern above it. Then in Pathfinder, I am going to click the second button over, which is minus front. And if your Pathfinder panel disappeared, you just need to go to Window and choose Pathfinder from the menu. So second button over, and nothing happened. All right, let's try that again. Okay, so you can see that I was clicking on the layer, but I actually needed to click into this little round circle right here to actually select it. It didn't have the blue square next to it, so it didn't work correctly. Now I'm going to try clicking minus front. There we go. And if I turn off the eyeball on the background, you can see what happened. It reversed the pattern, basically. Now what I'm going to do is put the dot pattern on that. And to save time, I'm going to use the hand tool and scroll over here to this side a little bit so I can see my old project that I did before. Get the eyedropper tool and click right on one of these dots. And what that does is it copies those attributes to this object. So now if I turn the eyeball back on my cone, there's my cone shape. So to deselect this, the keyboard shortcut is Control-Shift-A. All right, so far so good. So over here in the Layers panel, I have my cone pattern and the cone itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and lock those. And now I'm going to concentrate on creating the ice cream part. So I think I'm actually going to turn off the eyeballs to hide them so that I can see the shape of the ice cream. So to make the ice cream, I'm going to use some of the shape tools. So here's the rectangle tool. I'm going to click and hold on that so that the menu pops open, and then I'm going to get the ellipse tool. Right now in my swatches, the fill is set to the dot pattern, and I want a nice pink color. So I will use this one right here. Actually, that one. Then I'm just gonna mimic this shape right here. So I'm gonna click and drag, and my oval is not in exactly the right spot. So before I let go of the mouse, I can use the space bar and I can move it around. So I will put it in just about the right spot, and that looks pretty good right there. So now I'll let go of the mouse. Now I'm going to draw this shape here. So again, still with the oval tool, click and drag, hold down the space bar and move this into position, and keep holding down the space bar and moving it until I get it just right. All right, now I'm going to do this little bump right here on the side. So again, click and drag to make an oval. Don't let go of the mouse yet. Hold down the space bar to move that into position. Change the shape a little bit more. And when you get it where you want it, let go of the space bar and the mouse. All right, so I have those three shapes. Now I'm going to create this top part of the ice cream. So that is not quite an oval. I think a better tool to use is one of the other shape tools, which is the rounded rectangle tool. So I'm going to click and hold, and again hold down the space bar before I let go of the mouse and kind of make this match up a little bit better. Let go, and then use these dots in the corner to bring the sides in, and that's as far as it will go when those little red lines show up. I know that's about as far as I can move that. All right, so these four shapes are going to be my ice cream. So I'm going to use the selection tool, the black arrow, draw a box around all four shapes, and then use Pathfinder to click the first button, which is Unite. So those 4 shapes are now one shape. So now I'm going to add sprinkles to the top. So if I turn off the eyeball, you can see what the sprinkles look like. They're kind of different sizes and just kind of scattered around. So let's see here. I'm going to use the brown that I used previously right here, and I made sure that my ice cream wasn't selected. Okay, and I'm going to use the line segment tool, so I have to swap this so that the stroke is brown and not the fill. So here's the line segment tool, and I'll try 5 for now. So hold down with the mouse, click and drag, and click and drag, and I'll just put some on here that are this size. Now I'm going to change it to size 6 and make some that are a little bit wider, and just kind of scatter them around here and there. I think I need one here in the middle, maybe one up here at the top, and one down there, small one here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So let's see, I forgot if I locked the ice cream cone. Okay, so let me lock the cone. I'm sorry, not the pink part, the ice cream part. Then use the black arrow, and I'm going to draw a box around all of these guys. And I'm going to go to Object, Path, and Outline Stroke. Then in the Pathfinder panel, I'm going to click this first button, which is Unite. So now all of those individual pieces were condensed into one group right here. So all my sprinkles are together. So in order to give it the pattern, I'm going to click this layer, drag it down to the Create New Layer button, and now I have 2 copies. So the top copy, I'm going to get the eyedropper tool, and let's see, let me turn on my cone and this, and I'll click on this little dot pattern, and so to copy those attributes, but it's pretty dark, so I'm going to go to the Appearance panel, which is over here, and if it doesn't show up, as usual, you just go to the Window menu and choose Appearance from this list. Here, go back to Opacity, and I will change this blend mode to, let's try Lighten. Nope, can't see it. Screen. Oh, that's better. I think I'm going to stick with Screen. All right, the last thing that I need to do is make the shadows. So in order for the shadows to show up, I'm going to go ahead and put my blue rectangle behind it. So using the shape tools, I'm going to click and hold and choose the top one, which is the rectangle. And I'm going to click and drag. And right now, the color that is in my fill is this dot pattern. So I'm going to get the eyedropper tool and scroll over here to where my blue is and click the blue, and then scroll back. All right, so if you remember the keyboard shortcut, let me click my blue background. Keyboard shortcut to make that go behind is Control and left bracket, which is next to the P on the keyboard. So Control, bracket, 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 until you get it into the right position. All right, so now to make the shadow for the cone, I'm going to select the cone and take off the padlock and drag it down here to make a copy. Then click the copy to select it, get the eyedropper tool, and click the pattern. Then I'm going to get the move tool, the selection tool, and using the keys on the keyboard, the arrow keys, I'm just gonna move that down a little bit. And let's see, so that, I think if I go to opacity and change it from normal to color dodge, then it turns out to be the blue dots. And I want it to be the same as this one here, and that doesn't look the same. So what did I do on this one? Oh, I did have it on color dodge. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so eyedropper, click on this. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what the difference is, but I'm not going to investigate it right now. Now, if I go to my ice cream itself, I'm going to take off the padlock, click it and drag it down to make a copy. Select it and use the eyedropper tool. Whoops. That's okay. So I'm just going to take this one and put it underneath, click it and drag it, and then select the move tool and use the arrow keys to move it to the side a little bit so it has the shadow behind it. So now if I click off of that, there is my finished ice cream cone. It has the cone with the pattern, the sprinkles with the pattern, the nice swoopy ice cream shape, and the shadow on the side. That's it for this video.